Welcome to the Heal, Thrive, Dream podcast, where trauma survivors become healthy thrivers. Each month, we'll feature a theme in the trauma recovery and empowerment field. To promote your recovery, healing, and learning how to build dreams, here's your host, Karen Robinson, transformational coach and therapist.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Heal, Thrive, Dream podcast. Today, our guest is Miss Amie Dean. Amie is a certified clinical trauma counselor and an Ascension Coach. Amie, we are delighted to have you here, and you're welcome to add more information about who you are and why you're here today.
Hey, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here. And I guess I can just start with adding on to what you just said. I am a clinical trauma therapist, and as an Ascension Coach, I help women who are struggling with, perfectionism, their inner critic, any kind of inner child, concerns such as not feeling good enough, not feeling worthy, not feeling loved, these different things. So that's a pretty good introduction, I'd say.
Yeah, and your work is so important because, as we know, trauma survivors struggle with that inner critic. Maybe more so than the average bear, right? The average person. Yeah. So we're glad that you're here today to talk about it. I would love to hear about your path to becoming a coach and therapist, especially if there's anything in your personal background that you feel comfortable with sharing. That would be helpful to the women that are in our audience.
Yes, absolutely. So I would say it started, quite honestly, I've always known I was a teacher. From a very young age, I was a teacher. And so growing up, going through my own childhood trauma, I learned a lot about myself, and I discovered I wanted to help people heal and discover who they really are. So I became a coach, and I called this soul awareness coaching at the time, and did that for a little while. But I felt it was limiting and really wanted to help on a grander scale, and was very interested in psychology and mental health. So I went and got my graduate degree to become a therapist at the time. Moved all the way to California from Florida, and left family and everything because I knew this was my intuition guiding me, and I didn't have a lot of information about what was going to happen or what it was going to look like. But I went to a very holistic psychotherapy school, so I like to integrate mind, body, and spirit in that way. And so what that helped me to do, of course, is to have a clinical background and to understand trauma from a much deeper perspective, and then realize there were limitations even in that, in my therapy work that I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
So I felt this kind of push and pull, quite honestly, between being a coach and being a therapist, and wondering how I could make the biggest impact, how I could help the most people, and without the rules and regulations and kind of, these different limitations, right, that naturally happen in both fields. So I actually created a coaching program to help, to expand out for those who really aren't seeking therapy, or have maybe bypassed some of the work they could, or rather had already done some things in therapy that had helped, but didn't actually feel like they were, really getting to that deeper spiritual level of understanding themselves and truly healing at the root. And so I created the Awaken Living program for women who want to heal at the deepest possible level. And it's basically like the next step up from therapy. So I was able to tap into my truth that I could both be a therapist and be an Ascension Coach, and also help people in different life stages, we'll say, right? Because people who come to therapy, they really need more of the foundation. They need the coping skills, they need the tools, they need the resources, and they also want to deeply understand their past, their history, and how it makes them who they are today. And the coaching goes from there into discovering who they are as spiritual beings and getting in touch with their higher self, and truly creating a well-rounded wholeness-based model around who we are. So that's I'd say that's it in a nutshell overall. Yeah.
Sounds really awesome. How long is the program?
The program is 9 months right now. So it is a highly, I would say, high touch point kind of program where we are 100% working together one-to-one, plus in a group setting with other women who are also interested in healing perfectionism, their inner critic, and struggle with anxiety. And they want to get to a place of not having, for example, trouble with their eating habits, or to not have this, low self-esteem that maybe they're struggling with every day or fighting with their partner every day because there's these triggered emotional reactions coming up that they just cannot pinpoint or understand. So
Right.
yeah, it's so nice to have community. It's just so important for me to create community.
Beautiful. Is your program in person? Is it virtual? How big is it? What can you share with us?
Yes, thank you. It's definitely virtual. So everything is online. Therefore, we can meet wherever you are in the world, which is wonderful. And yeah, everything is, so it's basically set up where, we get together at the very beginning and we define your specific goals. I call them your soul ascension plan, so that we can get in touch with what does your soul really need. And I incorporate the Akashic records as well,
Mhm.
very deeply, spiritual way of looking at our soul's agreement, coming here and our soul's purpose and what that really means for our path, here in this lifetime. And so for women who are deeply spiritual and also, looking to heal past patterns, it's a great way to tap into just who they really are at the deepest level.
Okay, awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
And have you written any books on your work, or do you have favorite books that you recommend that kind of are aligned with what you're doing?
Mhm. Oh, I love that question. Yes, actually, I'm working on a book right now. It's in the almost final stages of editing currently. So well, my plan is to have it out by this summer. And the working title is Unmask Your Soul.
Ooh,
Yeah,
I
thank
love
you.
that. I love that title.
Awesome. Well, that definitely helps because I love to get feedback and buy-in around it too. But it's, unmask your soul, the map to heal your core wounds and awaken spiritually. So it's on its way out. I'm very excited about it. And it encompasses all the work I do. Really, it's like the whole picture of everything I teach and helping people, especially women, to understand the depth of why I've been through what I've been through, and also to tap into those spiritual roots, which we tend to feel pretty disconnected from in our
Mhm.
current society. Yeah.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that. So I love that your program is 9 months, and this is why. And I think the number 9 must mean something with trauma.
Yeah.
Um, when I was a very new therapist in the late 90s, I know I just aged myself. The very first trauma training I had was 9 months long, in the model that I learned at the time, and it was so
Yeah.
powerful, and it was just such great work, and really learned like all the different areas and trauma impacts, a survivor's life. Like it's a gift that keeps on giving, right?
It does. And you're right. It takes time, too, to integrate and
Mhm.
process through this. And not only that, but to feel like you're held in a community, right, where other
Yeah.
people get it. Because that's the hardest thing is loneliness and isolation, right, during the trauma healing journey.
Yeah, exactly. And I just signed up for another 9-month trauma training. It's called the Healing Trauma Program, and it's offered by Sounds True. And it's all the different trauma experts coming together and teaching. They're all doing a module. And it's, because I had my training so long ago, like this is more of even more mind-body connection. So I'm super excited about it. Our first big class is on Saturday. So it's 9 months again. So it must mean something.
It must mean
Yeah.
something. So funny how that works out, right? The synchronicity there. That's
Yeah.
wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the trauma program that I have is ongoing, meaning, women from different stages can kind of drop in. That it'll be dripped content. So every stage is kind of, we try to customize and tailorize where we can. It's hard when it's a group versus, one therapist or coach, but I think I got it. I think I got it this time. Yeah. And you mentioned you had a resource for our people today. Can you tell us a little more about that and how you made it?
Absolutely. So I offer a spiritual awakening guidebook, and it's a downloadable guidebook. It's completely complimentary. And this is essentially what it does is it walks through the spiritual awakening journey that I outline in my book. I talk about these 6 phases that we go through, that all human beings go through on the spiritual journey. And not only that, but how to navigate it, right? How to navigate when we are going through one spiritual awakening transition and moving into the next. And so that would be in the guidebook. And then within the guidebook itself, there's also a journal opportunity to go through and journal your experiences and also to track different emotions, experiences as far as your different sub-personalities are concerned, which are just simply parts of you that are showing up along the journey. And the whole idea around the journaling and the actual template that I have in there is that self-awareness creates change. The more aware we are, the more we can actually move into making big changes in our lives, and actually create transformation. So I offer this as a way for anybody to get an idea as to where they are on their spiritual awakening journey. There's also a quiz within the guidebook to take to find out, if you're still kind of confused, where am I really at in this way, then the quiz can define that a little bit better as well. So that would be on my website. And that's available at that's one-awakening.com.
What a beautiful website name as well.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's the vision.
Yes. So I hear that there's a lot of spiritual pieces to your work, which is awesome because a lot of therapists do miss that,
Right.
and it's crucial because of what's the word, moral injury that can happen with trauma. We see it a lot with combat survivors too. So I really love that. One of the areas that trauma survivors tend to struggle with sometimes is routine.
Yes.
Yeah. So I wanted to see if you had any thoughts about that and what do you teach about routines, if anything,
Oh, that's a great question too. And you're right. Routine is absolutely hard, especially if you've been through trauma. Because there's also this lack of grounding that happens, it's like where to find your place in the world and stability and security and all that. So to create a routine, I always say start really, really small, something like, and I'm a mindfulness teacher as well. So my feeling is that, and my experience has been that if we have a mindfulness practice, of course, one that feels safe and is more tailored, right, towards trauma, then that makes a big impact. So something like 5 minutes a day, just starting out really small, 5 minutes in the morning of meditation, for example, and a particular meditation that I love, which now that I think about it, might actually take more than 5 minutes, so you can kind of lead up to it a bit. But yoga nidra is a beautiful practice.
Oh, that's my favorite one.
Oh, gosh, it's great, isn't it? I love it. It makes such a big impact. Yes, it helps with relaxation. But I believe they only start off at like 15-minute audio intervals, I believe. So I don't know if that would be a good first one to start with if you don't have a lot of time, but I would say with routine, we have to drop perfection first and foremost, right? So coming back to this perfectionism, because often we think, oh, well, if we're going to have a routine, we have to do the same thing every day and make it exactly the same. And if we miss a day, then we get really, hard on ourselves. But the truth is we're human and every day is going to be different and we're not going to be able to always keep that routine. And if we can be gentle with ourselves first and foremost and set small milestones and celebrate along the way, like 5 minutes a day, 3 days a week, and then maybe you drop the ball, so to speak, for a few days. And then you're thinking, oh, there's no point in getting back to it, right? Because I obviously can't keep up with the daily routine. From there, it's best it's one of those things, right? Just to get back on it as best you can, 5 minutes a day, and to just love yourself through it, love yourself through the journey, because that's the hardest part, I think. And the routine is additionally hard. But, when we're harder on ourselves, then it just creates a whole mess within our minds.
Yes. So. Yes. I love that you're saying love yourself through it. Yeah. Imagine what it would be like if we did everything like that. That would be pretty powerful. Yes.
Exactly. Yes.
I love that.
Vision. Yeah. To move into that state, with the clients that I work with, because it's so hard to be human. We have our own expectations. Other people have expectations of us. We have responsibilities, but it comes back down to, how can we live from integrity, right? From our values, while also, sticking to what matters within ourselves. For example, being kind. Just being kind is enough, right? Just to move forward. And then it's interesting. We actually stick to our routine much better when we're kinder to ourselves too.
I know, because you're not fighting. Whenever
Yeah.
we fight anything, including ourselves, we just kind of put up our hands and give up, you
Yes,
know?
exactly.
I mean, they're
Yeah.
going to fight this perfectly or I'm not going to do it at all, right? Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Exactly. That resistance. Yeah.
So are you a reader by any chance?
I am. Oh, I love reading. I'm
Yeah.
also, I love writing and reading. I think it's one of my favorite things, on both ends there. Yeah.
Yeah. The reason I ask is because I'm a huge believer too in bibliotherapy. Like, I think books are like just yummy healing sources. And so I'm sure there's probably a better way I could have said that. I would love if you could share with our audience like your favorite books and maybe why they're your favorites. I hope that doesn't catch you off guard too much.
No, that's okay. I actually have some books here and let me see if I can actually pull them up. So there's one, and this book is in line with kind of the work that I do with clients. And it's called psychosynthesis. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that type of
I
therapy.
am not.
It is it's not very well known, I'll say, but it was well taught in my graduate school program. So it's essentially psychosynthesis is a lot like internal family systems in some ways. I'm
Okay.
not sure if you're familiar with that
Yep.
parts-based kind
Mhm.
of, yeah, that one's way more popular, I would say. But this book here, and I can actually show it too if that helps, but it's
Yes.
What We May Be, Techniques for Psychological and Spiritual Growth Through Psychosynthesis. Beautiful little book with
Oh,
exercises. I use this with my clients, but you can absolutely go through this on your own and even, record some audios of these exercises in your own voice if that feels, soothing to you, right, and nurturing to you. So I love that book. And then on the topic, let me see, I just cannot remember the name. Oh, here it is. The One of my other favorite books is on spiritual awakening and psychology, believe it or not. I know how
mhm.
that's probably not a big surprise at this point, but this book is called The Leap. And it's the subtitle is The Psychology of Spiritual Awakening by Steve Taylor. So I can show that one also.
I've heard
Love
of
it.
him. Yes, I've heard of him. I have not read that though.
Yes, it's a beautiful book, and there is a foreword by Eckhart Tolle as well for those who are familiar with Eckhart Tolle's work. But
Mhm.
those, I would say, are some of my absolute favorites. I'm also a fan of books on near-death experiences, just to get a clear sense of that very thin veil between the physical world and the spiritual world, and it really helps. I've given different book ideas to clients, to friends, just to remind us of our spiritual nature.
Mhm.
Because like for example, the map of heaven is a great one. Let me see this one here. Proof of Heaven is another one. And these different books are not religious in any way. They're, spiritual in nature. So no matter where you are, in your journey, that's something, and even if you are religious, it can be a great book for you as well. So either way, I would say that is an excellent book. Just if you want to remember just some, or, read some beautiful stories that help you remember who you are and can help you point back to your truth. So these are, yeah, some really great uplifting,
Mhm.
positive books that help you get to know yourself on a deeper level.
Awesome. So
Yeah.
I love being a therapist and working with clients, but there's some days where I wish I could just read and just only read. I love books.
With
Yeah.
you. It sounds like we're two peas in a pod,
Yeah, it
honestly.
does. It does.
Yes, I also travel. And so my biggest loves in life are traveling. I'm actually live full time in my RV. So I am constantly on the road, and that's a
I
beautiful
miss
journey.
that.
Yes, I
I
don't know.
miss
Yeah, I
I
don't know if I
didn't know you lived in your RV. Oh my, we really are soul sisters because I am actually working on a blog. It's in its infancy stages of how um, travel can be healing to survivors.
Oh, for sure. See, look at that. Beautiful. I know the universe brought us together. It's so funny. And as you say, you just want to read all day. My immediate imagery goes to like sitting by the water. I was just at the beach, Pismo Beach in California, just the other day, and I was sitting at the beach and I had a great book in my hand, one of the ones that I just shared with you. And it was like, that is the ultimate picture. And that's healing. You're right.
Hmm.
It's just absolutely healing, and in addition to travel. So those are, I would say, the two biggest things that have helped me along my healing journey
Hmm.
as well. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
awesome. I'm working with a travel writer coach, and her first suggestion was India. I was like, why did you pick something so far? And I've been to a lot of places, but India I haven't been to yet. Have you got to discover it yet?
No, I haven't. I've just been to Europe outside of the US, so I haven't had a chance to venture off, but I would love to, quite honestly. At this point, it's a total US journey with
Mhm.
with the RV, but in the
Of
future,
course, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, in the future, I think that would be an amazing, goal to,
Yeah.
yeah, branch out. India's on my list.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's definitely on my list too. I've done a lot of travel in Asia because I lived there for 5 years. And it was like during a hard part time of life too. And to get to travel was just so amazing.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah,
There's
I see a
something.
lot of shrines. I just saw a lot of spiritual moments. I met monks. I got to learn that they only eat twice a day, or actually no, once a day. They eat at noon.
Oof, that's gotta be tough.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And they're just so disciplined and peaceful and just all amazing stuff. Yeah.
So beautiful. Yeah, to witness.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes, I love
Yeah.
that. That's so great. And then
That's
about
so
your
cool.
that. So that's wonderful to learn it.
Yeah.
That's
It's in its infancy. It's a time management issue that I'm having.
yeah, exactly.
I know
As
there's time is like it's man-made, right? We have unlimited time. Yeah.
yes, I know. It's so funny you say that because I've been talking with clients about it. And then I realize, and I'm sure as you've seen this too, right? When you talk about things with clients or, with people in general, you realize, this is kind of a mirror for what's going on in my life right now. And so, talking to people about time scarcity and to remember that there is an abundance of time, I realized, I need to look at that. And I started sitting with it a little bit more, recognizing that there has been some time scarcity in the background of my mind. And I decided, nope, not doing that anymore. I have plenty of time for everything I want to do. And
Hmm.
that's my ongoing affirmation each
Yeah.
day. And
It's
that makes
just
a big impact.
deciding on priorities, right?
Exactly. Priorities is the best way to put it.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Yes.
Oh yeah, this has
Beautiful.
been so much fun.
Yes, this
You
has.
know, and when my blog is up and running, maybe you want to contribute some post on just your travels in the US. It doesn't have to be international travel, traveling anywhere. Like I even recommend long weekends for people and they can just go anywhere and just think like, what, what would feed me? What would feed my soul? What would be peaceful and tranquil for me? So.
Exactly. I love that. Make it accessible, right? Because not everybody can just hit the road or, go overseas or whatnot, but it makes a lot of sense.
Mhm.
It's about making a commitment to just get outdoors, spend time in nature, right? Whatever that means, if it's in the, hiking in the forest or sitting by the beach or, just witnessing a beautiful sunset, it's as simple as just being present for that. And I think we miss that often, right?
Yeah, I
Especially
agree.
time scarcity. Coming back to that again. Oh yeah, that's a big issue for sure.
Yeah. So as we wrap up today, just because I have clients and stuff like that, otherwise I talk to you
Yeah.
all day long. Um, what are some words of wisdom you could give our listeners, especially someone who's, not only did they have the childhood trauma, but maybe work isn't going well right now, or maybe their relationship is kind of stinky right now. What do you have to uplift people?
Yes.
Solve
Ooh,
everything. Where's your wand?
right now. Exactly. In this moment. It's perfect. So I would say, first and foremost, I'm going to keep coming back to this important piece because, and maybe just touching on it a bit further, but the more we can be self-compassionate, the better we're going to feel, the better our relationships are going to be, because the first relationship is with ourselves, right? Because even if your relationship with your partner or family or children or whatever it may be is not working out, first and foremost, just place your hand on your heart. I'd love to guide people through just a very simple 1-minute meditation. You place your hand on your heart, you just sit with your breath in the moment and just saying something like, I'm doing the best I can. I choose to love myself through this, or I love myself where I'm at, depending on which words really resonate, because that is individual for each person. And just taking a time out, even if it's just once a day, if that's all you can do, coming back to that topic of routine. But if you could make this, put a little reminder on your phone and do this several times a day. And that would be incredible. Not only would you have more energy, but you would feel better about yourself and everything around you, your work life, your family life, your, any kind of balance issues you might be struggling with become much easier and more in tune with where you are in the moment. So that might be something to consider.
I love them.
Mhm.
Could you say them one more time for anybody that needs to write them down, maybe on an index card or on Post-its for their bathroom mirror?
Perfect. Yes, highly recommend that too. That's a great idea to have it written down. So placing your hand on your heart and maybe just listening to your breath or feeling your breath in the moment without trying to change anything. And in that moment, you're just reminding yourself, I'm doing the best I can, and I choose to be kind to myself, for example.
I'm doing the best I can, and I'm choosing to be kind to myself.
Yes, choosing to be kind. Yeah, when it's a choice, there's an intention there. It makes such a big impact on how you feel. And I choose to be kind to myself. And then just notice how that affects what you do next, how it affects the energy going forward in your day, right? Because often we're waiting for someone else to appreciate us or to understand us in that moment. And if we could give it to ourselves first and foremost, then we're already set up for, just balance and being more in tune with that alignment of who we are.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you. This is such a lovely conversation.
Most definitely. And can you let us know when your book is available? Because I can go back at any point in the show notes and put a link to your book. So any woman who's listening who wants to read and get more of your beautiful guidance, I can't wait to read it too.
Thank you. I look forward to it. And yes, I will keep you updated, and I'm just starting to share the process. I realized how important that was, not just to share when the book is ready or about to be ready, but to share the process of the writing journey. And right now it's, finished the first draft, working on the second, and hoping for it to be complete within a few months. And then this summer feels like a really good goal right now. So I'll absolutely let you know and be sure to get that out there. Yeah.
All right. Beautiful. Well, thank you again for being with us today. Okay.
Wonderful. Thank you.
All right. Take care.
Take care.
Thank you for listening in today. Please join us next week, same day and time. Also, I would love for you to check out my website, healthrivedream.com.